Today, you're going to travel with me. But this isn't just any ordinary trip. This isn't just a trip to a new city. This is a journey into a new world of learning English. As you're listening to this podcast, you'll be learning new words, simple sentences, and even a bit of grammar very easily and effortlessly. So, fasten your seatbelt and get ready, because in just a few minutes, you'll say your first English sentence and feel like you're really living in a true story. I woke up early this morning to the sound of my phone alarm. The sky was still gray, and the soft light was streaming into my room. I jumped off the bed with excitement. Today, I'm going to a new city. I brought my bag to the center of the room. As I packed my clothes, I said to myself, I am packing my bag. I folded my clothes, put my shoes into the bag, and closed it. I smiled at myself and said, I am ready. I repeated it with excitement. It was interesting. I felt ready not just for the trip, but for learning too. When I stepped out of the house, the morning air was cool. The street was quiet, and the sunlight was slowly lighting up the sky. I stood by the street, waiting for a taxi. When the taxi stopped, I leaned in and smiled, saying, "Good morning." Then I said, "I want to go to the bus station." The driver smiled and said, "Okay." He started driving. I thought to myself, how amazing! I just had a real conversation in English. On my way to the bus station, the city was so calm. I saw people going to work. I learned to say, I see people. I repeated it. I see cars. Everything I saw, I described in simple English. It felt great, like I was playing a game with my brain. When I got to the bus station, it was busier. I looked for the signs. I repeated the sentence I had practiced earlier. Where is the bus station? And asked a passenger. He pointed with his hand and said something like, "Over there." I happily walked towards the waiting area. Inside the station, I saw a ticket seller. I went up confidently and said, "One ticket, please." The seller smiled and handed me the ticket. I said, "Thank you." And I repeated those words in my head with excitement. I sat down on a chair and waited for the bus. I felt like everything in this moment was part of a live English class. Everything I saw turned into a little practice. For example, I told myself, "This is a chair." Then I practiced with the chair next to me. "This is a bag." People were looking at me, and maybe they thought I was a little strange, but I was enjoying it. The bus arrived, and I got on. I sat by the window. An elderly lady sat next to me. She turned to me and said, "Hello." I said, "Hello. My name is," and I told her my name. She said, "Nice to meet you." And I happily said, "Nice to meet you too." It felt like a new door opened in my mind. The bus arrived, and I got on. I sat by the window. An elderly lady sat next to me. She turned to me and said, "Hello." I said, "Hello. My name is," and I told her my name. She said, "Nice to meet you." And I happily said, "Nice to meet you too." It felt like a new door opened in my mind. After a few hours, I arrived in the new city. As I got off the bus, the first thing that caught my attention was the blue sky and the pleasant weather of the city. I had a new and different feeling. I told myself, "This is a new city." The first thing I had to do was find the hotel and check in. I asked someone, "Where is the hotel?" They pointed with their hand and said, "It's over there." I felt like I was discovering a new world of words. When I arrived at the hotel, I said to the receptionist, "I have a reservation." The receptionist smiled and said, "Welcome." I was happy and said, "Thank you." Then I received my room key and went to my room. The room was simple but comfortable. I stood by the window and looked out at the street. I told myself, "This is a new city, and I am here to learn." After some rest, I went out to find something to eat. I entered a restaurant. When I saw the menu, I decided to keep it simple. I want rice and chicken. The waiter immediately took my order. After a few minutes, my food arrived, and I said, "Thank you." Throughout the day, I learned how to use simple words for communication. Whenever I went outside, I described everything in English. I see a car. I see people. When I returned to the hotel that night, I was a bit tired, but very happy that I had started a new day. I thought to myself, today wasn't just an ordinary day. Today, I took one step closer to learning English. What city would you like to visit? What words do you think you should learn? In the next episode, we'll go shopping together and learn how to ask vendors questions. So don't forget to watch the next video, because our journey is far from over.